Okay, Ramblers, let's get rambling.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
It's Some Dumb Guy, and welcome to another episode of Some Dumb RV Living. Hey, Sugar. Hey, Sugar. Hey, Sugar. Yeah. Okay, this episode, I'm going to be something with this. I've got this rack, this DVD movie multimedia shelf. I've discussed it in previous videos. Had it in my old place, moved it over here, had it temporarily in this new place. Didn't really have a place to put it, but I figured something. I have two of those guys. Can only use one, but I've got this little alcove recessed area here. It is slightly too narrow. So what do? Well, we're going to take this bad boy apart. I'm going to start with popping off the backer board, the backside. I'm going to take its ass off. And then I'm going to take top and bottom piece on my table saw, and I'm going to shave off whatever appropriate amount I need to once I get a measurement. And then I will reassemble after I drill holes to reset two of the top and bottom connector bolts. And then I will have to determine the new width so I can cut down the shelves to go in there. And essentially I need to create some more space because of this. I didn't record any footage for this because ultimately, well, I recorded, I didn't post because I wasn't happy with the way it turned out. But this is my previously discussed overhead bookshelf that I built. It's 12 feet for, well, a good portion of my books. Didn't do nearly as much as I would have hoped, but wasn't happy with the result. Didn't like the way it turned out, so ultimately didn't put out a video on its construction and so forth and so on. It's serviceable, functional, it does its thing, but nowhere near as much as I'd like, partially because of the slope of the ceiling here, the roof. I want to get to a point here where I can go upright and everything has to lay down on its side, so that restricts how much space gets utilized. I plugged in some here for space I had temporarily, but I've got this at least box and a half full of books as well that I still have to contend with. So I need more space, and putting that shelving unit over here will allow me to empty out a little bit of this and get that in there until I figure out another solution temporarily, because I really need to get to all this, and I really need to get the entertainment center put back together and the things and the stuff, and it's like, nah, you know how that goes. So anyway, we're gonna get started with that. You know, it's actually kind of funny to me in a way. I've forgotten when I picked up a pair of these shelves at a thrift store, I don't know, about 4-5 years ago, and forgotten that I already dismantled them and modified them the first time. I shrank the depth and then took the bottom piece, which usually as the base has a deeper footprint than the unit itself to keep it stable when it sits, and shallowed that up to be the same overall depth as the rest of the unit, because of where I was putting the two, they'd stick out a little too far and be kind of a obstacle and slash toe hazard with the base sticking out. So I gone through and I shaved them all up and put them back together and then secured them against the wall so they were stable. Yeah, I'm taking them apart now. I've seen the evidence of my previous work that I'd completely forgotten about, and now here I'm doing it again. So I just need to remove two of the connector bolts from the top and bottom. Hello, Sugar. And then go out and get my table saw set up after I get my measurement, and go ahead and shave those down and put the whole back together, and then measure the internal width for shaving down the shelves as well. Good girl, Peanut. Good girl. Yeah. I'm gonna knock this over and leave it at that. Oh, admittedly, I had to jump ahead a little bit. This time of year, weather and daylight are my enemies in a sense. Get home from work, the best of circumstances, you might have 2 hours of usable light afterwards. So it wasn't going to be as thorough as setting up and recording and doing all this stuff in every single step that I needed to. So when I got home, I dove in immediately, setting up my table saw, getting everything dialed in. I cut down the front, or I should say the top and base, to 9¼ inches, which is what my measurement is for my gap to fill. I then re-drilled the holes for the connector bolts, put the outer perimeter together, measured out what I would need to narrow down my shelves at 8 inches a piece. Oops. Got those placed in there. Everything is relatively squared up, and then I took the back panel and also cut its width down to 9¼ to match this. So what I need to do now is pull these shelves, flip this thing around so the back is up, put the shelves back in to get it an equal width across top to bottom, so I can lay down the back panel and tack it in place. And then all things considered, that should be it. I can go ahead and put it back in, get the shelf set up, and get some movies loaded into it. So that's where we're going to end up, accelerated mode. Sorry, sugar. And this is where we're at right now. The back installed, little cover plates on. I didn't make nearly as strong of an effort as I should have to square this thing up, so hopefully that won't be a huge problem. The shelves seem to fit in there, which, you know, I made sure that they were in there when I put the back on, just to make sure my width stayed consistent enough. So now I just got to see if it fits in its home. Shy of loading this thing up with movies, I'd consider this a success. Got a little hole here to patch up with some colored wood filler. When I used to have the two of these units attached to each other for stability's sake, I don't want to see that hole, so I'm going to do that. Where I cut to narrow everything down was on the back side, so that there would be no issues with marring what remains of the decent finish of this thing. I mean, I picked it up, used at the thrift store. Let's see what we can get in here movie-wise and free up some space in the alcove. So the final tally here is how we're at. That's cool. At least for now. Mostly DVDs, a half DVDs, a little over half. Some Blu-ray box sets, series, and things like that. So that allowed me to fill that up. It allowed me to clean things up a little bit over here. It also allowed me some space here. I can unbox the last box of books in my library and get those parked down here temporarily. So just get them off the floor and out of the way. And I got a little now expansion space over here. So I have a little bit of wiggle room. I really don't want to keep many books, if any, especially on this side of the rack. On the other side, maybe. But fixing that is going to be a future thing because I still have other matters to tend to. I've got one more bookshelf to build and install. That'll alleviate some space. And then I have here and here, the last of my Atari collection, library, whatever, 2600, that I have got to get situated and wall mounted in my bedroom. That will also free up a lot of space. So yay for those. We'll make progress there. A box of goodies that I've got to unpack somewhere. But so much of everything right now hinges on this remaining disaster. Getting the floor repaired, pulling this out, painting the wall behind, tinting the window behind, so that the back of the entertainment center isn't visible from outside. I don't like that. Yeah, once I get the Atari library out of the way, I got rain this week. That's going to cover my entire weekend, unfortunately, because this will be a good opportunity to probably start exploring this, right? So I get the painting and the window tint done. Maybe during the rain I could do that. Then I got to get the floor repaired, get the new planks installed. Because I can't get the entertainment center set up until that's done, because I don't want to be moving this thing around fully loaded. It'd be too heavy to be sliding around. It wouldn't be healthy for it. And once I get the entertainment center set up, that frees up all kinds of nonsense. It's packed up here. All the movies and such that I have on the opposite side here that is going to fill this whole area, free up a lot of space, get my TV operational, the cabinetry underneath here, which I've got all kinds of stuff stacked up in my bedroom as well, and in this box as well, things that are going to go in there. It's like, that's almost feel like one of the most important pieces of the puzzle, but it's the one that ultimately has to be saved for last, and it's killing me. It's kind of killing this channel because I can't really watch anything. I've got this rinky-dink little TV in my bedroom, so the only time I'm moving in there is when I go to bed. And, you know, I might get a half hour's worth of viewing at a time if I'm lucky before I fall asleep. So, but we make progress, daily progress. It keeps happening. But anyway, that's that. Things continue to evolve. Progress continues to be made. And as always, I thank you all for joining me. Was this a worthwhile venture? You know, it's a decent collection out of my library that I was able to put there. Was it worth it? Should I consider adding something here, or should I just keep the top for display purposes? What do you think? Is it worth the labor? That's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching this most recent episode of SumDumRVLiving. Appreciate your participation. Make comments, ask questions, whatever. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Alan.